Live, okay, here we are. Hello, hello everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our Unlimited Network Mastermind, something that we do every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time to support our growth and opening to prosperity consciousness, to expand, to enjoy this life, to manifest whatever it is that we want from a place of fulfillment and deep understanding of who we are, and to really touch that right, you know, that we have to have it all. And we are studying this beautiful book that is called The Abundance Book, as already many of you know. And the idea here is to keep mastering this release technique that is really about the deep understanding that I'm getting here. You know, like we already are who we truly are, this abundance and magnificence, peaceful, harmonious being. Okay, and our job is to let go, to release. And this book is dedicated to that, and you know, it's asking us deep exploration questions to explore things that can, you know, give us discomfort and whatever, to have the opportunity to let that go, so we can shine our true nature more easily. And we are working here with chapter number 16. We started last week, and I just would like, if it's okay with you, Dr. Fran, to...
Can they hear you? Can they hear you?
Can you hear me, Dr. Fran? Yes, he says yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
It's very clear, very clear.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
So I just want to highlight, if you want, you know, for the ones that you join us today for the first time, or the ones that we are here really every Saturday, you know, one Saturday at a time. But now we are together for 3 years or more studying, you know, every Saturday this. And I personally, I can say that I do notice my own allowance, you know, my own, yes, allowing more in life from an easy way without having to make it. And so I'm very happy and grateful about that, and I hope like all of you can benefit from this. So I would like to just remember that we are mastering here the release technique, and that we normally touch 3 sources of, let's say, contraction or conflict or suffering for human beings, that we detect as the opportunity to release, you know, wanting control, that I can, and yes, me, I am here, you know, like catching myself, like controlling everything, wanting approval, an aspect of myself that I could see also, that I feel more free right now after a month of working with this book, but I was not so aware of that need or dependency, you know, and also the wanting security. So as human beings, we move a lot, and I would say through these 3 aspects, right? Like wanting control, wanting security, or wanting approval. And when you know that, you don't fight it, you don't judge yourself, anything, you simply have the opportunity to let that go, to release and release and release every time that you sense that you come from that 3 pillars, let's say, okay? So, but something that we touched last week that I think is really powerful, and Doc Fran was, you know, like noticing or letting us know or inspiring us to bring attention to this diagram that we have here. I want just to put here, because for me it was very interesting in a very gentle way, not in a judgmental way, you know, but to understand that we identify ourselves with the body. And if you are identified with the body, is when you are going to feel, you know, kind of limitation. It says here the extremely limited you, and then, you know, the body hurts, we are tired, sick, headache, sleepy, no energy, and this is based on fear, grief, and apathy. So let's say that many of us, or for sure, I suppose all of us, we have some aspect of very identified with the body, okay? So it's okay, more opportunity to release, okay? And then you can be very identified with the mind, that is the second level. And here you're going to notice, he called it the unreal you, the limited you. When you are identified with the body, is the extremely limited you. But when we identify with our minds, with our thinking, with our ideas, we are limiting ourselves, okay? And here's where we have questions, confusion, doubts, thinking I'm releasing, no trust, no satisfaction. I can catch myself here very often. And I love to see it as a diagram here. It's okay. It's a process of awakening, okay? So we are not doing anything wrong. but it's nice to know it. It's just nice to see, okay, here I am, I'm attached to my thing. And then you suffer, from pride, anger, lust, fear. The mind is pulling us on that direction, let's say. And then the last level of awakening here is the I, okay, source, let's say, nature, and the real you, the unlimited you, and we call that beingness. And here is where you can experience, this natural wisdom, all-knowing, no thinking, oneness. I feel that a lot, or very often too. So it's very beautiful to see this. But peace, acceptance, courage, to face things or to stay in the unknown. So I love this diagram for you to be gentle with you and to detect, okay, if you are suffering from something that is identified with the body, release that, okay? So again, we are going to keep studying this chapter. That's okay with you, Dr. Fran. And we are on page 103. And let's see what we can learn today, okay? So welcome again, everyone. And here we go, Dr. Fran.
Well, thank you so much. What a wonderful introduction this morning. It's so I can feel the abundance in your spirit right now. You're manifesting abundance in your smile, your face, your attitude, your energy level, your voice communication, and most importantly, your bountiful spirit. So, again, it's a pleasure to be with my distinguished panel here this morning. So, I want to set as a backdrop here so that we kind of bring people that may have been tracking with us or might be here new this morning. We're kind of discovering in this process that virtually all of our existences can be viewed as a tug of war, if you will, between manifesting our spiritual nature, our immortal spiritual beingness, and the powers associated with being an immortal spiritual being, with the more easily understood side, our human beingness, and things of the human physical realm, material things, mess, etc. And so I'm going to back up and just read 3 sentences that we finished yesterday with to kind of set the stage to go into one of the more important discussions and concepts that we'll discover in this book. And the first one, on the bottom of page 102, it says, mind distraction is the wanting more of the things of the world than the self. And we expanded that a little bit last week to allow people to understand that distraction means having your focus shifted from something to something else. So if our mind gets distracted, that means we're changing focus. And we know that what we focus on, we get more of. So isn't it an insidious trick that our mind is not allowed to focus by the very nature of our physical beingness? And it says that the distraction or changing of focus of the mind is wanting more of the things of the world. In other words, focusing on physical realm phenomenon, money, cars, boats, houses, clothes, love, whatever physical objects become the focus of our mind's attention. And then the unexpressed phrase here, it's wanting more of the things of the world than wanting things of the self. And Monica did a beautiful setup here that the self is the highest form of consciousness. It's the understanding the I. It's understanding that we are intrinsic spiritual beings. And it's really no secret why we don't want more of the things of the self, because we intrinsically know that we are whole, complete, abundant, and perfect in our spiritual beingness. We are, in essence, God. We are a portion of God manifested and operating in our physical universe. So what more can we be than God? And of course we have references from thousands of years ago, the famous quote, "Know ye not that ye are gods?" So it's not a new concept. It's just one that we, for all time, as human beings, reject and block and put one of Arnie's famous words or favorite words, resistance towards. So, and then the next one is really a fabulous thing, a thought. And we know that our thoughts are what cause our beingness and our manifestations. A thought is an assumption of lack. Isn't this interesting? What a concept, what a definition of thought. It's an assumption of lack causing a wish to fulfill it. So, all creation, and we are all powerful creators. We literally create every event and manifestation in our lives. All creation stems from a desire or wish to fill a lack. The conundrum is, of course, that we're taught that if we focus on lack, we get more of lack. So there's just so many. It's a wonderful little landmine-filled field that we run through every minute of our existence. And once you see what the mind is, you won't be subject to it anymore. So once you realize that the mind is just doing its job, trying to keep you distracted so as not to come into complete and total awareness of the powerful, unlimited beingness that each and every one of us is. So now, the part that we're coming up to today is how to be clear at all times. And I'm really excited to get into this discussion. Now, let's take a look at this figuring it out business once more on a deeper level. It's habit. But by now, hopefully, you can see that figuring out is the home of confusion. If you need to figure something out, it means you don't have an answer, and therefore you start spinning around in your mind, asking it for the answer. If it doesn't have an answer, we tend to keep asking it anyway. That's because of habit and lack of discrimination on our part. Now, I'm not talking about not having an answer. I'm talking about being stupid. I'm talking about letting go of wanting the answer and having the answer. Remember that wanting and having are opposites. Every time you engage your mind and throw it into wanting to figure it out, you're really engaging your mind and calling up what you have previously recorded in your mind. If that answer is not there, naturally your mind is going to tell you, I don't know what you're talking about. And then, since we think the mind is the only place that can give us an answer, we start beating it up for not giving us an answer. The mind, like a computer, can only give back what you have previously experienced and recorded. So most people are living in the past by constantly relying on the mind for all their answers. They stay stuck in old answers instead of getting new answers from a higher place. When you ask the mind to think about money, it's going to give you whatever you previously have experienced with regard to money. When you think about relationships, it's going to give you whatever you have on relationships. If you're worried about the future, it's going to bring up what you did in the past and cause you to be thinking about what happened in the past, and therefore you think you're in the future. However, you're just relying on past information or experiences. Be here now. Be clear. Just release all those feelings and thoughts, and you'll be clear as a bell. So let's take a look at this attachment and aversion to figuring it out, in quotes. See the chart on the following page before continuing. All right, so let's see. Attachment to figuring things out. Stream of consciousness. Just let your mind think of things about the attachment to figuring things out. Write it down and see what you wrote or thought as wanting approval, wanting control, or wanting to be safe and secure, and then release the want. So let's take a couple minutes in silence here, and everybody take out a pencil and write down, what advantage is it to me to figure things out? All right. Who's got a thought on this that they jotted down on this little chart?
Well, I noticed that it lets me believe that I'm in control because I'm doing something. I think I must have associated doing with being in control, and it keeps my mind busy. But it helps me realize we're talking about a delusion here.
Excellent. Monica, you're bursting with an idea.
Yes. Yes. It's like, oh my God. Well, for sure, I detected the same thing, Candace, like mood me towards, I am in control. That makes me feel safe. At the end, it's like, okay, I manage the situation. And then another little sense of, like not figuring it out, let's say. It's like kind of, I'm stupid or whatever. So again, give me a sense that I understand, that I am safe. So it's really about, for myself, like wanting security at the end, in the deep level there. Interesting.
Very good.
Thank you.
Arne.
I don't have to be vulnerable. I don't have to feel too much. Not that is necessarily. My first response is I don't have to feel as an advantage. But when I think about it, that's not an advantage. But my first response is like, okay, I can just not be vulnerable and be the macho, and I'm fine, and I don't have to open myself up. So that's a disadvantage.
Well, thanks.
But one thing I want to say here, like let's check in, because this is the practice. Is wanting control, wanting absolute. I believe that has to the core of the religion. So check that.
Being the advantage of figuring things out is to not have to be vulnerable. Is security, the need of security, and a little bit of control.
All right, I got that totally. And it's interesting. We all this was very spontaneous for me. Sometimes I actually have to stop and think for 3 or 4 minutes to get a thought. But 3 things popped into mind immediately on this, and I think our panelists are going to recognize a common thread here. The first thing I wrote down was, it gives me a sense of direction to act. So that's control. Second thing is, it gives me a sense of security that I am in control. So that's my security. And then finally, it makes me feel good to be in control. So I give myself approval. The thing that really leapt out here is how intimately intertwined these 3 primary motivators are in every instant of our daily existence. Every thought, action, direction, movement, manifestation that we do, be, or have is a result of the relentless need to satisfy our needs for control, approval, and security. Every action. Very fascinating. And they are intertwined. That's why it's so difficult to articulate them in separateness, because serving one automatically serves the others. Okay. Well, I think we all get an A+ on that first part of our exercise. So now let's take 2 or 3 minutes and figure out what disadvantage is it to me to figure things out. Okay. Who's got an idea on this topic?
I can go. Let's see. What disadvantage it is to me to figure things out? The first thing that popped up was I lose connection with presence, with my surroundings, with my presence. And I went, okay, is this wanting approval, wanting control, or wanting security? And I ended up sensing like wanting security. So I was there a little bit. And then another thing that popped up was triggers. You know, the disadvantage is that triggers my I wrote insecurity, triggers, yeah, my ability to maybe, know it, like, feeling safe or managing the situation or whatever. So if I can figure it out, so then, again, one security at the end, So one opportunity to let them go, to release that. That's what I discovered. Thanks.
I don't hear.
Arnie, go ahead.
Me? Okay.
Please.
The disadvantage of figuring things out is I won't have the joyful surprise of the unknown. When we play, when I play, it's because I don't know what's going to happen. If I already know what's going to happen, it becomes like not play. It becomes like exercise or something. It becomes a mental predetermined result. It won't have that quality of pleasure of the outcome. So if I already have figured it out, I will just be like a robot almost. And that comes again from feeling need of control and feeling secure.
Excellent. Candace?
For me, I found that it wastes my time. Therefore, it interferes with my approving of my thing. I like the word efficiency in my activities, so it's a waste of time. And then we have a wrong conclusion being reached by figuring it out, which would totally upset all my control issues. So there we go.
Oh, it's so cool.
I have one thing.
Go ahead, Arnie.
Candice, you inspired. So when we figure something out, then we're stuck. There's nothing new can happen. We got it. We're dead, basically. There's nothing new that can happen, and that's pretty. Well, there's nothing new. There's no evolution. That's the end of the story.
All right. Well,
So it's limiting.
Go ahead, Candace.
So it's limiting, and yes, very good. Thank you.
Well, my three were, number one, it denies our spiritual knowingness, which is a control issue. You want to be in control. Secondly, it continually distracts the mind. And there's security in that because it prevents us from really spending time focusing on our true spiritual nature. And that provides security to our ego side, which is what wants to keep us firmly in the physical nature of our beingness. And finally, it prevents movement towards the awareness of I, in quotes, which is our higher spiritual consciousness. And I loved Arne's comments about, not wanting to necessarily know what the outcome of a situation is all the time, because it's no fun. It gets really boring. It's like, if we consider life as a game, let me ask you, if the outcome of a game is already predetermined, is there any enthusiasm or motivation to play the game? Not much. If you always win in a game, after a while it's no fun for you or the opponents who are always losing the game, because there's no uncertainty. The only way there can be a game is if the outcome is uncertain. Think about that. And that's kind of what really came to my consciousness when I was listening to Arne and to Candace talk, is that it takes all of the fun out of being in this game of life. And paradoxically, like look at tennis and in any sport, the most adept person plays their very best game when they are up against an opponent of equal or greater ability, because that is a condition in which in their own mind suddenly the outcome of the game is in question. They might get beat this time.
I have that also, like playing tennis. I play tennis, and I taught basically. Yeah. So I basically taught Monica to play tennis. So in the beginning, I was much better than her, but I would purposely not play to my max, and then she would suddenly become on top, and winning, and now I got excited. Yeah. So even that fun, it was fun to get the challenge in there, even not to play to my best, because it was more important to play to the fun and the unknown than to make sure that I'm the best.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Well, I hope our audience enjoyed doing that exercise. And if any of you have comments that you'd like to make, Arne, can you kind of tutor them on how to put things into the chat box so that they can get your attention? Arne is always monitoring the attendance of those people on the call but not on the panel.
Yes, there is a if they're on the YouTube or on our website, there is a Q&A button that they can click, and when they click that, they can write a question, and we will see it right here, and we can respond to it. They cannot talk, but they can write, and we can get that.
Okay. Yep.
And I know we have some people out there, so you can test drive the question and ask one also.
All right, excellent.
And Roxanne, I really loved your point here on this topic and pointing out the spirituality. And I actually got something that, maybe God, the source, actually enjoy playing. Maybe God, the source, enjoy the unknown. Maybe there's no fun for anybody, us or God. It's not like some unknown territory there.
Well, that is a perfect case in point, and of course God loves it because we are God, and He's created just in this little tiny speck of land mass that we call Earth. He's already populated it with several billion people, all of which have free will and can make decisions independent of what God's knowingness might necessarily be. So that's His fun. What are they going to do next? Holy Christ, and just there's true trust in spirituality is, letting your creations just go and have a mind of their own. I don't know, man. I'm getting spun in on this. This is kind of fun right now. So, all right, let's keep reading on here. And imagine never being able to figure things out ever again. Let go of clutching or resisting the feeling it brings up in your stomach or chest. Keep releasing until there's no more feelings in your stomach or chest. Wouldn't that be amazing? I mean, we know that it's not good to constantly be focused on figuring things out, and yet the idea of stopping figuring things out does, holy God, I would really be out of control. Oh my Lord. Could I let go of my entire aversion to figuring things out? Keep letting go until you can say yes 100% with no clutching or resistance. So when I read these kinds of sentences, folks, these are not just to be read and heard and understood intellectually. These are actually calls to action for you to apply the release technique to the specific questions. And you may not do it during the call here because you're focused on listening to what we're saying, which is very nice, and we appreciate that. But it is a call to action to you. If you really feel an indication that this is an area in your life that you need help in, that maybe this is the item that is preventing you from being clear or being completely free, then this is an area where you need to sit and do these exercises personally and do it until you have a sensation of release or completion on that item. Refer to the foregoing chart. Let's walk through the process. First, do a stream of consciousness on your attachment to figuring things out. Release on it until you're clear on it, meaning no more energy, no more attention units stuck on that. You're clear. You have a full and complete understanding and flow with reference to that topic. And it may come up again. You may be fully clear right now in this unit of time until something else impinges and re-stimulates that. Now, what advantage is it to you or for you to figure things out? One advantage. Can you see that as wanting approval, control, or wanting to be safe? And whichever want it stirs up, could you let go of either wanting approval, wanting control, or wanting to be safe? Now, again, I'm not telling you not to have an answer. I'm telling you to let go and have an answer. Because they're all there. We all have it. There's no question about it. We're all still operating on that plane of consciousness. And I'm going to go back and just re-stimulate this. A thought is an assumption of lack causing a wish to fulfill it. So if we have a thought, we have an assumption of lack. And what we're trying to do here is find, locate, and eliminate those thoughts and removing a sense of lack with regards to anything, which just by definition, moves us further and further towards an awareness and operation of awareness as an immortal, all-knowing, all-powerful, creative, spiritual being. That was an aside.
Can I say
Yeah, please.
Here? To fortify the topic of that, the thought is lack consciousness. The way I kind of conceive of it is that well, I love questions. So we're sitting here, I'm living my life, and then a question pops up in my head. What kind of question pops up? Well, the first question is, well, there's an issue here. How can I fix that? Well, that comes from the topic of lack. You know, how can I fix that? Or, you know, if you have a lucky day, then you say, well, how can I improve that? You know, I got $1 million. How can I get to? Again, it's based on lack. So even, you know, we just are the spiritual being, like a little child, full of play and joy, or we come in with our adult minds and we think we're clever, and you know, how can I fix that, or how can I make that better? But it's based on lack. So thought is based on lack.
Yeah.
So that was just to see that I agree with that.
Yeah, it's interesting. What disadvantages for you to figure things out? Does that bring up a wanting of approval, control, or safety? And what's another disadvantage to figuring things out? Does that stir up a wanting of approval, control, or safety? Whichever answer you have, could you let go of either wanting approval, control, or safety? And what's another disadvantage of figuring things out? Whichever thought or feeling it stirs up, could you see that thought or feeling as either wanting approval, control, or safety? Whichever want that is stirred up, could you let it go? And more and more. And what's another advantage of figuring things out? Could you see that as either wanting approval, control, or safety? And could you let go of wanting those things? What disadvantage is it for you to figure things out? Is there a wanting of approval, control, or safety? And could you let go of any or all of these feelings? Now, what's another disadvantage of you figuring things out? Does that bring up a wanting of approval, control, or safety? Now, whichever want it brings up, could you just let it go? And what advantage is it to you, of yours, to figure things out? Does that bring up a wanting of approval, control, or safety? Whichever want it stirs up, could you just let it go? And what disadvantage is it for you to figure these things out? Does that bring up a wanting of approval, control, or safety? Can you let go of that want? And more, and even more, and keep going back and forth until you're clean on it, and then move on. Now, let's ask the squeezing the lemon question. Imagine never, ever, ever being able to figure things out again. You've lost the ability. Now, see if that brings up a clutching, a resistance, an unwanted energy in your stomach or chest. And just allow that energy to come up and allow it to pass through. Let it go so you can have the answers, different answers, not the same ones. Imagine never being able to figure things out again. You've lost the ability. Just let the energy come up and just allow it to pass through. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just phenomena passing through. And more and even more. And imagine never being able to figure things out again. Just let the energy come up and allow it to pass through. Sometimes people at this point start to feel tired. If you're feeling tired or restless, notice that there's an unwanted energy in your stomach or your chest area, and see it as either wanting approval, wanting control, or wanting to be safe. And just let that energy leave, and more, and even more. Now let's continue. Imagine never, ever being able to figure things out again. Just allow that energy to come up. Just allow it to pass through. Each time you let go, you're moving towards imperturbability, quieting the mind, becoming more and more powerful, becoming more and more positive. Take a check and see if that isn't so. Imagine never, ever being able to figure things out again. You've lost the ability. Just let this energy come up and just allow it to pass through. It's just resistance and more and more. Continue on until you're totally released and are no longer resisting or clutching when you read the squeezing the lemon question. Now ask yourself, can I let go of my entire attachment to figuring things out? And more and even more. Continue on until you can say yes 100%. Any comments?
Yes, I want to share something that the first thing that I sense here when I was squeezing lemon question, to the lemon question, is a release, like, what a freedom here, you know. But then I stayed there for a second, and that turned, you know, in the sense of, was giving me a sense of security, you know, like to don't have to figure things out, okay, done, you know. That's in this, you know, like I don't know, the belief that I'm stupid or too slow or whatever, that I became very quick and very intelligent, you know, quotes. But I want to highlight here that the first sensation was like an opening, like, oh, that's wonderful. I don't have to figure things out anymore. But really the need that was behind was a need of security. So I love to have the opportunity to let that go. Thank you.
Well, thanks.
Good one. Good one, Monica. I am aware that sometimes after these, in fact, not all the time, but pretty often after these exercises, I feel, my body feels clear of the issue that we're releasing, and yet I don't trust that it's absolutely gone. So I think some part of me still either doesn't trust or wants to hold on or make sure that, well, maybe I'll need that someday or something. I don't know what. But it's certainly a control-based thing. I especially like at the end of last chapter, I went, especially that question, wherein did I cause my lack of abundance? I didn't think I'd answered that thoroughly enough because I want it gone so much that, you know, I wanted to be perfect about it. Again, more control, more approval, more whatever. So more everything. So just a comment, I'm watching myself in action here.
Oh, this is fabulous fun. Fabulous fun. All right. So we're ready to move on to part B of this exercise. And we're going to talk about, the first part we were talking about attachment to figuring things out. And now we're going to go into this negative connotation, aversion to figuring things out, avoiding figuring things out. Just let your mind think of things about the aversion. Write it down and see what you wrote or thought as wanting approval, wanting control, or wanting to be safe and secure, and release the want. So, and it's interesting here, we're talking about aversion or wanting to avoid figuring things out. And so that we start this out by trying to answer the questions, what do I like about figuring things out? I don't think it'll take us long to answer that 3-line statement. Go for it. All right. Who has a thought about that?
Well, I like that I just gave an example for figuring things out. And what do I like? It makes me feel busy, like it's going to help. But it's really, and it's a repetitive, dependable, go-to response when something in my life stresses me. It is to try to figure out how I can understand it or fix it or control it or wow, it's largely control with hints of approval needing and yeah, it's a good one.
Well, I feel energized. You know, I have a point to prove. I got it. Listen to me. You know, so I feel energized, and part of it is based on now I can get some approval. You know, look what I did, and also I get to be in control. I figured it out, man. I got it. I don't have to feel energized or more energy or worry. I don't have to be in the unknown. So I'm in control, and I feel secure when I'm in control. You know, I got it. Don't worry about it. Nothing else is going to happen here because I got it.
Well, I feel much better now that you got it. I'll tell you, I think I'm done for today now. I
love it. Okay, what I discovered for myself here is that what do I like about figuring things out is engage me, conversation, give me connection. I ended up with a sense of then I belong, you know, to this world, mental world, let's say. So at the end is wanting security. So I had the opportunity to, you know, open the window for that one. And then it's funny, I was inquiring again and I feel, you know, mentally safe. You know, like in the world of mind, figuring things out brings me the safety of being part of it. So again, wanting security is what I touch at the end, and I open the window for now. Thanks.
Well, you know, I wrote down 4 things, and they all started with sense of, the sense of control in present time, which of course is wanting control. It's a sense of power that you were able to figure something out. So that's security. A sense of security in my thinking as a result of that. So again, that's security. And finally, a sense of accomplishment in overcoming a perceived problem, which is approval. And it does. I mean, as leaders, we constantly are called upon to do these very things. We have to be able to figure things out and discern a path of action which we then communicate with conviction and commitment to those individuals who are looking to us as leaders. So I mentioned that little cycle of action just to point out that we're never dealing in absolutes in this world. So while we're sitting here focusing very directedly at removing our attachment to or aversion to figuring things out, in and of itself, figuring things out is neither good nor bad. It serves great purpose in our lives in a great number of situations that we all have to encounter and do encounter in our livingness. And at the same time, it is one of the intrinsic traps that we have created for ourselves in preventing the full and complete and abundant expression of ourselves. Fascinating, Vanessa. All right. Let's see. We're at 10:52. All right, let's just do this last little chart, and I think that'll probably set us up. Gosh, oh, we're almost at the end of the chapter. Should I just read and round out? Yeah, let's do that because you know, we're not going to continue forward. So what I'd like those of our listeners to do in our panel after the call here is figure out what don't I like about figuring things out, and complete the aversion to figuring things out exercise. So let's go on here. And then again, these are just stimuluses to doing this action, releasing on this particular topic. Imagine always figuring things out, everything. You can't stop. You become an obsessive figurer of things. Let go of clutching or resisting the feeling it brings up in your stomach or chest. Keep releasing until there are no more feelings in your stomach or chest. Could I let go of my entire aversion to figuring things out? Keep letting go until you can say yes 100% with no clutching or resistance. And I can say that now that I know that Arnie's in control. I'm going to give you the world. It's your job now to keep it spinning. It spins from west to east at a certain speed. So it's very important that you maintain exactly that cadence. And God, what a relief it is to have that off of my freaking shoulders after 70 years.
I enjoy the approval.
No, I don't want approval. I just want to be rid of the world off of my shoulder. I'll provide all the approval I need. Referring to the chart above.
Control.
Yeah, because I'm out of control. I don't need it anymore. I don't have to control. I love it. Referring to the chart above. Now let's look at the aversion to figuring things out. What do you like about figuring things out? Does that bring up a feeling? It gets so redundant. Now let's ask the squeezing the lemon question. Imagine always figuring things out, everything. You can't stop. You're going to have to do it for the rest of your life. See if that brings up a clutching or resistance and unwanted energy in your stomach or chest. Put your head down. Put your hand on your stomach and allow that energy to pass through that imaginary window that we open up there. And more and more. And just allow the energy, that resistance, to come up and let it go, and more and more. And imagine always figuring things out, everything. You can't stop. It brings up a resistance. Just allow that energy to come up and more, and keep releasing until you're 100% clear on it. As you get clearer and clearer and more discriminating about a habit of figuring things out, you will begin to see that you will constantly be moving towards having the answers rather than having the old answers. Just let it go and find out. What did this stimulate? I'm glad I did that. I'm glad we did just finish out the reading here. And let's have our panel react right now to what happened for you in the operations of this particular chapter.
For me, I discovered that it was that figuring things out re-stifles the voice of spirit, and it is just gets in the way. It's unnecessary clutter, and because at one point in my career I did home organizing for people, I realized that what is in their house is a reflection of what is inside their heads, and you know, and the process of letting go of that, of course, is a challenge, because people don't. You think it's about moving the stuff out. No, it's about rearranging what's going on in the noggin. So, anyway, just wanting to make more room for spirit and really attuning to my own highest voice, my own highest solution, or just allowing the flow more by not figuring things out so much. Thanks.
Monica, you look very pensive, or else your screen is frozen. Arnie, I think Monica's out of communication right now. Do you have something to tell us?
She's right here. Can you hear me, right?
I hear you fine, yes.
Yeah, she's right here, but anyway, um, well, the letting go of she got stuck here. You come here on my computer.
There
You
we go.
complete
Now I can hear you.
now.
Her
She's
camera
back.
just came back on.
But
Yeah,
anyway, to be in control and I've been trapping myself with that. I feel so smart, when I figure things out, like acknowledge myself. But then the side of that is the other side is that I have to disapprove other people, so because they are not as smart as I am. So that gets me trapped in there, and it's all about approval, but I also have to disapprove so I can feel double approval, and it's not so good. So I gotta let that go. Now you go.
And for me, if you can hear me here, I really agree or resonate with what you said, Candace. To me, it really discovered today with the chapter of today, the beauty of the unknown, and to let the answers or the resolution or whatever it is to come from that presence. And it's something that I do a lot with creative questions, that if you don't know what it is, you go to www.creativequestions.com, but it's really a tool that teaches you to ask a question and to wait. So instead of figuring it out or whatever, so it's funny because I love that space of unknown, and before creative questions I didn't know. But with the chapter of today, I appreciate, the opportunity to let go, the aversion of, like I'm getting attached to I don't want to figure things out, let's to be here, meaning that I keep running the show of control, and wanting security. So very, very beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Fran.
It was really a pleasure to encounter and experience this chapter. I've mentioned a lot of times that Nancy and I studied and immersed ourselves in Scientology for 13 years. And both of us are what's known as Dianetic clears, which is one of the first states of higher consciousness that we are trained to acquire through our Scientologic experience and training and exercises. And it is a different view. My whole perception of existence literally changed in the process of going Dianetic clear. And then it's continued. Once you reach that, you're allowed to go on into developing your spiritual powers and developing higher levels of spiritual consciousness and abilities. And again, by directed exercise. It's a very thorough program. And it's really a sad thing that Scientology has become so disreputable, and it again is largely because of the single person at its helm, David Miscavige, who corrupted the beautiful truth and power of this technology. And unfortunately, like all religions, it can either be used to better people or suppress people, and he's chosen to use it to suppress. So it deserves the negative press that it has, but unfortunately, those of us that have experienced the power of that tech and billions of people that could expose themselves in the future won't have that ability. But being clear is simply a state of eliminating all of the attention units that we leave stuck on unpleasant incidents in our pasts. It's really allowing you to rehabilitate yourself and realize that things of the past cannot be undone and only have an impact on you in present time if you allow your attention units to stay there. So being clear means that you can hear and assess and react to present time situations without dredging up all of the earlier similar incidents in your life. And we're talking about being immortal spiritual beings. And let me tell you, folks, every one of us on this call have had multiple lifetimes. It's an irrefutable fact. I've experienced it personally with clarity. And we carry forward all of that stuff, not just from our current lifetime, with the emphasis on birth trauma and childhood development and all that crap, but we bring it along what's called whole track. For all eternity, we carry things forward. So, and the last thing I'll part here with is, you know, going through this chapter at the end about figuring things out. What constantly was appealing to me or occurring to me was watching the progression that all of us are going through and have seen. If our parents have lived into senior